Hi, everybody. It's good to see you this morning. I'm really excited for this webinar because I'm going to be sharing with you some information and insights that really were impactful for me when I discovered them. When I learned this stuff, um, it it changed my perspective on coaching. It changed my perspective on what I was doing, my career, my future, and uh, I think the biggest change for me is that the stuff that I'm going to share today, it gave me just a profound sense of security and safety that the future that my future was safe, and that's the experience that I want you to have. I'm hoping that this information is impactful for you as it was for me, and I know that there's going to be some great nuggets for you today. So like I said, close down your distractions. Make sure the other windows are off the screen. I think you want to be paying attention. Maybe just have one way of taking some notes, and then pay attention to this webinar because there's going to be a lot of stuff. It's going to be pretty dense. Um, so welcome. Uh, First of all, I think I, given everything that's going on in the world, we just have to recognize that we're really lucky to be on this call talking about success, talking about making a difference for people, that we don't have rockets coming into our house. We don't have to worry about our physical bodies being safe. And so I just am thankful for that. I recognize the privilege that we get to have this conversation and that this is our greatest concern. And if you've got people that are in harm's way, my heart's out to them. But I'm just glad that you're safe. I'm glad that we're safe. And I think we can't really have this whole conversation about success without recognizing that it coexists in this world where a lot of people don't have the opportunities that we have. So just a moment of gratitude for that. Let's talk about who's here. So uh, I think we basically got three groups of people. We got a bunch of executive coaches, some who are very experienced and successful already and looking to take it further, some who maybe are a little bit earlier in their career as executive coaches who want to make sure that they can do everything they can to provide the most value to their clients. We've got business leaders, people who have been very successful as either entrepreneurs or executives in business contexts, some for many years, who are then looking toward how do they either add mentorship or executive coaching as a part of what they offer as consultants, or make a shift from being on the field to being a coach, using what they've learned to help other people. And we also have therapists. We have some really great therapists on the line today who have thriving practices, have learned how to, have long-term relationships with their clients, with their patients, and who are thinking about making the jump to executive coaching because it's so similar, the kind of work, but it's also obviously a lot more lucrative. But they are interested in getting into the business end of things. And I think each of these three groups has something unique to offer the others. So this is something powerful happens when you get these three types of people together in a community. First of all, the therapists bring their understanding of human psychology, obviously, which is a crucial part of executive coaching, of helping someone make a change. You have to understand the person. The business leaders bring the business mastery, which is the other leg. You need to understand the human psychology and the business mastery. And together with coaches, we can understand motivation and performance. Not just how do we feel better, but also how do we accomplish more. And when you get these three together, I think you got magic happening. So I'm excited that all of you are here to contribute to this conversation. A little bit about me. So my name is Bryan Franklin. I've accomplished over 30,000 paid coaching sessions now. I've been an executive coach for 23 years. I started in the year 2000. And based on all the studies I can find, I think my earnings put me in the top tenth of 1% of coaches globally. And so I'm sharing this because I want you to understand that the stuff I'm sharing with you comes from having learned how to do it really well and at the top level, and that I want that for you as well. I've helped 10 now of my clients go from startup to over $1 billion in revenue or valuation. So I've seen really rapid business success in my clients, been able to learn from clients like Reid Hoffman, who I coached him for 5 years leading up to the IPO of LinkedIn, and other entrepreneurs like that. Been really lucky to work with some fantastic people, which has led to my education, and now I can pass some of that on to you. Um, and together with my partner and wife, the love of my life, Jennifer Russell, we've trained thousands of coaches on how to have thriving businesses. In fact, we just ran into someone who was in a training over 10 years ago, and they had seen one of these webinars, and they were hearing me describe the kind of coaching practice that's possible at the very top level. And he said to us, it sounded to me like you were describing my practice. And then I remembered you guys trained me. So of course it sounds like that. And he was also very proud to announce that he'd just broken 900,000 in coaching income for this year, which when he started with, 10 years ago, he literally had no coaching income at all and didn't have any business experience. So he really developed that along the way over the last decade. Couldn't be more proud of him and the other students that have done things similar to that. But I also want to share with you my anti-bio. And I want to share this with you because when you see a list like this, it's easy to say like, oh my God, Bryan is this incredible person. I could never be like him. And you could get discouraged, or he's accomplished these great things. Of course, this works for him, but it won't work for me because I can't say those same things. But I have, profound failures as well as successes. So I've lost more than $6 million in investors' money. I convinced them to give me money. I told them they should believe in these projects, and then the projects just didn't work out. Oftentimes because they weren't that good of an idea in the first place, although I didn't know that until afterwards. I've only ever had one job, like one W-2, and that was in college. And I was fired from it on the first day. Basically, I was hired. They said, there's one thing you can't do is let people into the studio at the sound department at USC. So of course, on the first day, I let my friends in the studio, and of course, I was fired. I have I failed to finish my degree in theater. A lot of people ask me, hey, where did you get your MBA? I've never had an MBA or anything like that. I wasn't an actor. I was studying like set design and sound design. So I was like in welding class in college and stuff like that. And I failed my welding class, and I wasn't able to finish my degree. Um, I owe my start in coaching completely to nepotism. My mom was one of the first executive coaches, and she taught me how to be a coach. And my dad, he after his career in telecommunications, he became a coach, and so it was kind of a whole coaching family. I don't think I would ever be in this business if it weren't for my mom and for what I learned from her. So, sometimes we can discount our successes when we feel like we were given an unfair advantage. Um, Also, I was for years abysmal at returning emails and messages. I mean, people would email me and say, I'd like for you to be my coach. And I would just not get back to them for, 20 days or something like that. So I've gotten somewhat better. I have an assistant who helps me with this now, but man, I used to be horrible at emails and messages and just communication hygiene. And over the years, I've been fired, I'm embarrassed to say, more than once for just not showing up to my coaching sessions. I now have dialed it in, but when I was just starting out, I was a mess. I really was. So I'm sharing all this stuff with you to humanize me, to put us on kind of the same page, because I bet there's a lot of these mistakes that I made that you wouldn't have made, that you would never make, and there's probably mistakes you're making that I wouldn't make. So we can all really learn from each other. We're fundamentally on the same page, and the the reasons sometimes that we use in our head to discount our successes are the same reasons that we might use in our head to not try for something, to count ourselves out from going forward, and from taking the plunge, from investing in ourselves. And I just don't want you to use those excuses. If I can't use these excuses, I don't want you to use yours. So that's why I want to share this with you and just get us all on the same page. So I also think we probably have a lot in common. So first of all, I my primary purpose, what I care about, is living a life of service, being in service to others. And I want my work, the thing I do for my work, to be a reflection of that commitment to be in service. And I'm imagining that's true for you as well. We want our work to be significant. We want the things that we do to matter, and we want to work for people and companies that matter. And we also want to be successful. We want to win. We want to be at the top of the game, whatever game we're playing. And I also think we want sovereignty. We want freedom. We aren't slaves to our work, and we have our purpose and interests. They include many things that are not about business. And so I'm saying this because uh, everything I'm going to say in this whole webinar is in the context of these commitments to service, significance, success, and sovereignty for me and for you, for our clients, for everyone. Go ahead in the chat, and if this resonates with you, just say which one of these either you think you have like on lockdown, and which one of these maybe you are striving to have more of. I'd love to hear from you in the chat. So why do we have to have this conversation right now? Why now? Jennifer and I taught coaching programs, a decade ago, and we have been focused on our own coaching and our own businesses since then. Why are we having this conversation right now? And it's because something very profound in the industry of coaching happened in 2019, right before the pandemic. I started to experience a big difference in the kind of influx of coaching referrals and the demand for my time. I just increased. I experienced a sudden increase, and I got packed with clients. And suddenly, I was calling my other coach friends who are really great coaches, asking them if they could take some of these clients, and they were telling me no, they couldn't because they also were full. And so there was just this incredible increase in in demand for coaching, and I was really excited about that. But then I would talk to some other friends who were maybe just starting out or not at the top level of coaching, and they would say things like, well, you know how hard it is based on what's going on in the coaching industry. And it would be kind of a record scratch. What do you mean how hard it is? It's been easier than ever. Anyway, so this interesting thing is happening in the dynamic, and that caused me to do a bunch of research. I looked up studies from Stanford and Harvard, ICF, which is the International Coaching Federation, and about a half dozen other companies and agencies that study the field of executive coaching. And all the studies agree that the demand for coaching is skyrocketing, which is true. And even though there are more new coaches than ever every year, I think almost 70,000 were certified last year. Demand for coaching, and the number of people who want coaching is increasing faster than the supply, which is great. However, there's a catch. It's true that demand for the best coaches is skyrocketing, but demand for all other coaches is slightly down from 10 years ago. So I actually dug into the data. I looked at the different segmentation of what kinds of people are actually buying this coaching, which is increasing in demand. And it turns out that all the increase is at the top. So this is a graph of all the money that's being spent on coaching in a given year divided by the number of coaches each year for the last 9 or 10 years. And in blue is the demand for the top coaches. This is people who are coaching CEOs and who are coaching executives with a certain salary or above. And then the red is all coaches, the whole group. And so you can see that the demand for the top coaches is like 4 times higher, and it's this steep rise, whereas demand for all coaches is down slightly from where it was 10 years ago. Demand here, I'm saying demand, but it's really a mix of demand, supply and demand. It's, because it's the demand divided by the supply. What's the ratio? And so making more than $1 million as a coach used to put you in the top 1% of executive coaches, but now almost 4% of all coaches exceed the $1 million mark. So it's like 4 times easier than it used to be to hit that milestone. And the number of clients for every top coach is more than doubled from 10 years ago, but not so much for the other coaches. You can see, in 2013, there was like 4.5, almost five clients per top coach and half a client for every average coach. And then now there's 10 clients for every top coach and a little bit, 0.4 instead of 0.5, down slightly for the rest of the coaches. So top coaches have much more choice with the kind of client that they can work with than they used to. Our fees are higher. The kind of work is more rewarding because we can be choosier about who we work with. And all of our new business comes from word of mouth. Whereas for coaches that aren't as versatile, maybe they have only basic training, like a training level 1 or level 2, or who primarily work from a single framework, they're this kind of a coach or that kind of a coach. Clients are harder to get, and there's a downward pressure on rates, and social media is like saturated with competitors. I'm saying competition in quotes because I want to teach you how to convert your unique life experience into the kind of coaching that literally no one other than you can offer, which means although there are other options for coaches, no one can give the coaching that you can give, which isn't true if you're using too heavily, like relying on a framework or doing a type of thing. It's not the type of thing that people want or they buy. It's your specific conclusions and life experiences, but you need to convert them in a way where that creates profound coaching and not just advice or predictable things that the client may enjoy for a month or two, but then their interest wanes. There's a question. By the way, feel free to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to ask questions. I may not get to all of them. I will be looking at the comments and questions. So there's a question, isn't this the case for most industries? I do not think it's the case for most industries where the demand is increased, but it's only increasing at the top, and the demand there's a downward pressure on the bottom. I think many industries, when demand is increasing, like for machine learning professionals, for example, the demand increases all the way across the board, including college graduates, and other industries which are in decline all across the board. So yeah, it's there is a comment. This looks a little bit like sports salaries. I think there are other industries like sports where the similar thing's happening, but I don't know about you. I got no chance of being a professional athlete, but I think we all on this one on this call can take advantage of this trend. So also the analysts agree that this trend is going to continue. For the next at least 5 to 10 years, we're going to see this increase in demand. And I think it'll continue to be concentrated at the top. The more that high-level people want coaches, they're still going to want to be choosy. In fact, most people would rather have no coach than an average coach if they're at the top level. So I don't know why this is, but we could guess that one thing that's happening is that people copy winners. And more publicly, the winners have coaches. There was another study, over 70% of startup founders that have successful exits have coaches, where a much lower number, I think 30% or less of startup founders have coaches generally. So the group of people that are winning in that game all have coaches, and people want to win, so they copy everything that winner group does. Also, coaching is destigmatized. When I first started coaching, it was almost thought of as like a punishment. Oh, you have a coach, that means that you suck. And so I had my clients like tell me that on the meeting on the calendar, I had to name it something other than coaching so that their colleagues would know that they were getting coaching, because there's such a bad stigma about needing a coach. Why can't you do your job without a coach? But now having a coach is a sign of pride. It's like, I care about being excellent. And so because of this, there's way more referrals. People are much less likely to refer someone to a thing that they're embarrassed that they need versus something that is a sign of pride and excellence. Also, I think the pandemic has helped. It really highlighted the need for interpersonal mastery, because that was such a strain, and normalized Zoom calls, so we can coach anyone in the world now. I've spoken to a lot of the top coaches in the industry over the last couple of years, and I noticed something important, which is that the top coaches have a different strategy for their coaching business than the other 96%. Almost all of the coaches who are struggling, when I ask them about their coaching strategy, I hear similar stories. But then the small group that's really doing well, they all have this other strategy. And it's not just, they don't just have better habits or reputations or networks or techniques. They literally have a whole different strategy for how they approach their practice. And so the strategy is tailor-made to take advantage of this influx of what's happening right now. And that's what I want to share it with you. So it's probably a good idea to talk about, like, what's the agenda for today? What are we going to cover? So the first thing is I will tell you what the winning strategy is. That's the first thing I'm going to do, so don't have to worry about that. Also, I want to talk about 3 types of coaches that you don't want to be. And what are these 3 types, and how to not be like these 3 types of coaches. You don't want to be like them. I'm going to talk about the frameworks and key tactics that I use to keep my clients renewing over 5 years. I think I might have sent you a quick personal video, but in case you didn't get it, I recently did the math, and I'm keeping my clients on average now for over 5 years, like 68 months is the actual number. And so how do I keep them renewing year after year after year for 68 months? That's exactly the frameworks and tactics that I want to share. And then, so if you're where you are now, let's say you're almost a top coach, or maybe you're towards the beginning, or you're making a transition, how do you go from where you are now to becoming a top coach? What's that roadmap actually look like? So I want to spell that out of what I think that is and how to do it. And then I have an awesome free gift for you that can get you new clients this week. So regardless of what you decide to do at the end of the webinar, you'll have access to this free gift, and you can literally use it to get clients. It's not just an ebook or something that you read, but it's actually a tool that you can it'll help you. You use the tool and it'll help you get clients. Okay, so let's talk about the winning strategy. I guess before we do though, sorry, I'm getting excited myself. I'm getting excited. So which one of these are you most excited about? I'd love to know, like, where are you at right now? Which of these do you think is going to be the biggest help to you and that you're most interested in? Just put that in the chat real quick. So there's a question about, what do I think about the role of digital coaching platforms? You know, I think ultimately the quality of the coaching is going to be about how the degree to which the client feels that their mind was changed about something that's important to them, that gives them easier access to taking an action that's beneficial. So if there's a digital platform that helps them change their mind so they have easier access to do something beneficial, fine. If it's just a face-to-face meeting, fine. I think that the juice to me is not in the platform. The juice is in the quality of the insight and how tailor-made it is actually to the client. So I could see it having a benefit to have great coaches, have more exposure, but if it also invites more people to be exposed to more average coaches, I don't think that will help. So let's we got winning strategy, we got roadmaps, frameworks, and strategy frameworks. Okay, great. I got a great idea. Thank you of what you're looking for, and I'm going to make sure and cover this stuff in detail. So, oh, that's not what I meant. Let's try this. Let's talk about the strategy. So to talk about the strategy, we have to talk about what a strategy is. And this is a topic that surprisingly enough, which is very often confused, even from people who have the word strategy in their title. So let's talk about what strategy really is. If tactics are how you win a game, then strategy is deciding what game to play. So how you keep score defines the game. So your strategy basically is defined by how you keep score. If I'm keeping score by checkmates, then I'm probably playing chess. If I'm keeping score by baskets made, I'm probably playing basketball. So how we keep score for the game defines the game we're playing. That's our strategy. And then once we know what game we're playing, then the tactics are all the things that we do to try and win that game. And this word gets misused a lot because I often hear people talking about strategies when really what they mean is tactics to win the game, because they've already decided what the game is and they're not actually thinking about or looking at how to play that game differently. Um, in Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, which is one of the best business books, if you haven't read it already, it's just fantastic. Um, he talks about the hedgehog principle, which is essentially what is the core metric, what is the North Star metric that the company's going to align behind. And they studied the difference between Walmart and Sears, both big box retailers with similar clientele. One basically went out of business and the other became one of the most wealth producing and powerful retail brands in the world. And the difference was what they measured. Sears' strategy was to try to measure the revenue per store per month and hold the managers of the store accountable to more and more revenue, which means the Sears managers stocked more and more expensive items, refrigerators and appliances, and the more expensive, the better, because they were trying to increase that revenue per store per month. Whereas Walmart measured the amount of revenue, the amount of money per ticket, per receipt. How much did each person spend in the store each visit? And that led them to reorganize the stores so that if you were walking over to the baby goods because you needed to buy diapers, all the things that you might need if you were a mom of a new baby would be right in that same linear line, so that when you start picking up new items and by the time you check out, you've got a big ticket. So that subtle difference, revenue per store per month versus revenue per ticket, that created the difference between success and failure in a multi-billion-dollar level. So anyway, subtle difference in how you keep score can make a big difference in your strategy. And so now we can think about, how do you keep score in your coaching practice? How do you keep score? How do you know if someone says, how's your business going or how's practice going? What do you think of to know whether it's going well or not going well? Most coaches keep score with like, how many clients do I have? And or what are my rates? It's going pretty well. I've got 16 clients. I charge X per month. Almost all coaches pick that way. And there's a different way. There's a different strategy, which is the winning strategy, which I'll show you in a minute. But let's walk through some actual real examples to see how that works. So if I show you this list of coaches, so multiple studies in the US talk about the minimum fee for an executive coach at about $850 a month. The median fee is about $1,500 a month. We'll call it an above average coach. As an executive coach, we'll be charging $3,500. The lifetime trusted advisor model, which is obviously the model that I would recommend, charges $5,000. Several of my friends who are coaches, one I know charges $7,500. Actually, several, a few, two that I can think of charge $15,000, and there's one I know that charges $25,000 a month. There's probably even people that charge more. I know, Tony Robbins, who is the most expensive coach in the world, charges something like $1 million for a year of coaching. But in this, in the attainable sphere, where you don't have to be a celebrity in order to charge those rates, these are all real examples. And if I look at this, your eye just goes right here to the winners. And some of you might think, oh, well, the 25,000 rate versus 15,000, they must be a better coach, or they're kind of winning the game. Or someone else is like, well, but look at that hourly rate, even though it's 15,000 instead of 25 per hour, they're making a little bit more. So maybe that's the winner. Now, by the way, I don't think your hourly rate matters, because most coaches don't utilize most of our hours. We work 2-3 days a month, 2-3 days a week or something like that. So it doesn't really matter how much you're getting per hour. It matters more how much you're getting per month. But so I'm not a big fan of the per hour measurement. But in order to find out who's really winning the game, we need to look at some other factors. So, in the lifetime trusted advisor model, I'm keeping my clients for 68 months. Uh, the the $25,000 person is only keeping their client 1 month. They do one session, which is 6 hours, and then they have to go get a new client. And the 15,000 people are some say for 2 months, some say for 1 month, some say for 3 months, but the average is 1.8. So look at the lifetime value, look at the LTV of the lifetime trusted advisor at 5,000 a month versus charging 3 times as much, which is 15. It's it's more than 10 times more the lifetime value for every client, which means, and this is really the magic number, that at the LTV of over 300,000, I only need to get 3 new clients a year in order to maintain $1 million of income or more. So I don't have to do any marketing. I don't have to do any blog posts. I don't have to do any podcasts. I don't have to do any TikTok videos. I don't have to do webinars like this to get coaching clients. All I have to do is just keep making the biggest difference possible for my existing clients, and they refer more than 3 people a year. So my practice continues to grow as long as I'll accept new clients. Versus at 25,000, you're having to get 40 new clients a year. That's several a month you have to get, which is a tall ask to do just through word of mouth, which means that so much of the time gets spent in these other activities other than just making the biggest difference possible for your clients. So, as someone said in the chat, lifetime value, LTV, is the strategy. That's how we keep score. So that's how the top coaches all keep score, is what is the lifetime value of my particular client on average, not how many clients, not how high our rates are, and certainly not how many subscribers or likes or followers or anything like that. We're just looking at lifetime value, which is great actually, because the strategy, therefore, is to keep the clients for as long as possible. And the only way to keep a smart client for as long as possible is to be really valuable to them, to continue to month after month after month provide fresh, new value that it continues to expand their capabilities. You can't do the same thing again and again and again and continue to have them to stay. Now, at this point, I was talking to someone about this, and they were saying, "Wait, so you're saying the strategy is to get your clients just to be dependent on you, and like make sure that they're dependent on you, like little baby birds that they need you to feed them?" And of course not. You're not trying to get anyone dependent on you, and that wouldn't work anyway, because again, these are executives and entrepreneurs. These are people who have a lot going on in their life. They're busy. They're successful. They're not going to just be dependent on you, based on some trick. It would be like saying the strategy of the internet was to have us all be dependent on Wi-Fi, which we are, but we're dependent on Wi-Fi because it's so useful, because it's so amazing. And that's the same strategy. Is we want to be as useful and amazing as we can to our clients. So really, the top coaches strive to be lifetime trusted advisors, the kind of people that they get the call every time something really important is up in the client's life. You're the person they call. I got a call about 2 weeks ago from a client who they were in the hospital because their baby boy was just born. And literally the boy was born about 8 a.m. and by 10 a.m. they were calling me because they wanted to share that experience with me, because of all of the prep towards being a father and integrating with that with their work that we had done together. And when something important happens in my client's life, I'm one of the people that they want to share that with. So it's like a deep and a profound bond that goes on for a lifetime. It's not just like clients that we're trying to extract value from. And that's how I think you build a practice that doesn't involve all marketing or all the sales tricks or trying to strategies to always thinking about trying to get clients and stuff like that. So this strategy of keeping your clients for as long as possible by providing the greatest value, it impacts every area of the way you do business. And if you look like at a typical coach who's successful, is able to pay the bills, they're doing well, they got, 10 or 15 clients. This is how they spend their time. They spend, a little more than half their time on fulfilling for clients. And then they spend about a quarter of their time marketing, about a quarter of their time in sales, and then, administration, which is like doing invoices and stuff like that, making sure that the domain is renewed and all that stuff. So that's how they are spending their time, where a lifetime trusted advisor spends almost all their time just in sessions with clients. And because all the new business comes in through referrals, we don't have to spend all that extra time. Now, you can take that extra time and you can get more clients. I carry a lot of clients because I don't have to spend any time getting them. Or you could take that time and spend it on your other interests. Either way, most of these top coaches are working 2 to 3 days a week to get these income levels that are in that top 4%. So everything, how you invoice, what you say on the invoice, how you think about getting new business. If you ask a typical coach, hey, what do you need to do in order to grow your business? They'll likely talk to you about, well, I need to invest more in networking, marketing, putting myself out there. I need to publish more content. I need to comb social media. And by the way, when you ask them this, and they tell you the story about what they need to do, this guilt comes over their face. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but say to a coach, what do you need to do to get more clients? They're like, well, I really should be doing networking. And I got to get another blog post. I've been really bad about my email newsletter. They say stuff like that. And this is this insane guilt cycle that comes over them. And just shout out on the text, on this chat, if you felt this guilt of like, oh, I really should be doing this thing, but I don't like it, but I should be. Well, I'm calling it insane because of this wonderful Krishnamurti quote that says, it is no measure of sanity to be well adjusted to an insane world. I love that quote. And I think it's no measure of a good coach to do all of the tactics that good coaches don't do. It's no measure of your excellence in your profession to measure you against failing to do the things that really don't work anyway, that are not how you should be conducting your business. So please let go of the guilt and let's find a way that actually works for you to grow your business. Literally all the top coaches do that. I've yet to meet a coach in the $1 to $3 million range who says, oh yeah, I spend most of my time, on YouTube ads, or, it's just, they don't do that. If you're running ads, if you're doing marketing, if you're doing webinars like this, it's because you're doing group programs or things where you need to get a lot of customers to make a bigger impact that way, not one-on-one. Which, by the way, people have asked me this question, so I just want to tell you, why am I doing this Lifetime Trusted Advisor program at all? I've got this great coaching practice. It's making plenty of money. And this is a lot harder than just showing up one-on-one to people who I love. And the main reason is that there's a transformational magic that can happen when you get people in a room who are committed to each other's transformation. It's just special. And Jennifer, my wife, and I love creating that environment and teaching into that transformational environment where just magic can happen, and where you can walk out a day later and feel like a completely different person. And we want to have that experience together and give that back and give that to you guys. And so that's why we're doing it. It will actually make per hour less money as LTV doing this than if I just was doing all, got more coaching clients or something like that. But because coaching doesn't take that much time, we're able to do both. They don't have to sacrifice one for the other. But I just want to let you know, like, why am I even doing this? It's for that magic transformational moment that it's just so unique and fun. And anyway, we'll get to that part later. But so don't feel guilty. If you ask a Lifetime Trusted Advisor, what do you need to do to grow your business? They say, well, geez, I need to learn to provide more value in my sessions. Think about that. You need to grow what do you need to grow your business? Well, I got to provide more value. And there's a comment that says, any good company cares about LTV. It's true that the best companies care about LTV because they understand that's the best proxy that we have for the value actually being delivered to the customers. Customers who get value renew. I used to talk about this concept of good revenue versus bad revenue. And so this is one of the frameworks I think that you can use this for your clients. Any entrepreneur or startup leader. So I think one of the problems with measuring revenue as our scorecard in business is that it mixes good revenue and bad revenue. And good revenue in my world is revenue where the customer is paying you because they have gotten what you've asked, what you've delivered to them, and they got so much value that they want more. That's good revenue. And bad revenue is speculative revenue, where the customer is giving money to the company because they are guessing that they're going to get value in the future. So it's not like you don't want the bad revenue, you need the bad revenue. It's only bad when you combine the two and you think that that means you're doing well as a company. And so many startups go out of business because they count revenue as a sign that they are growing, when in fact the basis of that revenue was that their customers are just guessing, hey, you're telling us a good story, and so I'm going to give you money because I hope it's true. But the true strength of the company is all the money you get after the customer gets the product or whatever it is, gets the service and says, wow, this was really impactful. We want to grow. We want more people to have this. So that's why LTV and expansion is where you're working with one person at a company and then their colleague wants to work with you. And pretty soon you've got 3, 4, 5 people at that company all coaching with you. Expansion is a super good sign that you're on the right track. And the only way to expand is to learn how to provide more value in your sessions. Coaches as a group, and I'm guilty of this too, we kind of think we already know all the things. We kind of think that we're already experts at helping people, and we tend to use like how the session emotionally feels as a measurement. Like, oh my God, it's such a great session because it felt really good to me. But that good feeling, because the session feels good and feels good, we can't imagine that there might have been a different direction that we could have taken that would have provided even more lasting value. So I'm encourage you to, wherever you are, think about the headroom. Think about, how do you provide even more value? What would be even more valuable, particularly when you think about the long term, not just what's going to provide a little spark of an inspiration for your client or an epiphany, but what's going to help them so that the position they are in their life a year from now is fundamentally different from who they are now. And they love who they're becoming. How do you make those kinds of differences in each session? Okay, another business strategy concept is stone castles versus sand castles. So if you build a sand castle, every high tide, the sand castle goes away and you have to rebuild it. So all the effort that you put into building the sand castle, it washes away and you have to do it again. Whereas stone castle, you build the stone castle kind of once and then it's kind of there. So it seems like it's a lot harder to build a stone castle than a sand castle at first, but over 2 or 3 years, you build the stone castle and it's done, where the sand castle, your work is forever. So marketing for coaches is like a sand castle, because even if you're successful, even if you build this beautiful castle and you do it great, you do an incredible marketing month, you get a bunch of clients. If the clients only last for 3 months, which used to be the national average, some reports name it now at 5 months. I'm actually not sure, but it's between 3 and 5 months is the national average for how long a coach keeps their client. If you do this incredible piece of marketing, it means 3 months from now, you're going to have to do all that effort exactly over again, only with new creativity and a new market and a new pool of prospects. Whereas if you build the stone castle, and the stone castle is investing in your lifetime value, investing in being a better coach, investing in making a profound difference in every session, investing in knowing how to handle more diverse situations. When you put a stone into the stone castle, that stays forever. Every client for the rest of your life will benefit from that investment. So strategically, just stick with the stone castles. Okay, so uh, there's a comment about there's this pressure to have a niche. It seems like I'm saying something else. Yeah, um, I'm going to say something radical. I don't think you need a niche. Uh, the idea of creating a niche is crucial for broadcasting a message to an audience. Because if I said that this webinar was for anyone who wanted to be happy, and I put it on LinkedIn, nobody would come because no one thinks it's for them. I had to say, listen, this is for coaches who want to keep their clients for longer and therefore be more successful. And now that's you, so you know, okay, I'm in the right place. And that's why you need to pick a niche, is when you're speaking to an audience of people you don't know. But um, most of our practices will actually grow from word of mouth. And I think it's more effective to find people that we think we can help with anything. It doesn't matter what we think we can help with, and ask them if they'd like our help. If they agree that they and us, we both think that we can help them achieve that thing, it doesn't matter whether that thing is similar to a different thing that we can help someone else with. Now, over time, you'll notice in the rearview mirror that there's kind of a grouping of things that you are really great at helping with people at, and some other things you're not as great. So you could stay away from those. If someone asks you to help you with that other thing, you just decline, say, no, you should have someone else. But you don't need to define yourself as this fake thing, which is so narrow, to talk to someone who you're really creating a personal relationship with. You create the personal relationship, and then from that basis, you can discover what they trust you to help them with. So yes, if you're going to do a Facebook message or a video and you're going to try and get a bunch of people who you've never met to pay attention to you, you will have to pick a specific audience for that message. That's a marketing concept. It's true. But I don't think as coaches, we should be focused on that. I think as coaches, we need to be focused on the network of people we already know, making the biggest possible difference we can for them and growing from there. That is a stone castle that you can never be out competed with. You can never be pushed off that position. Facebook can never change their algorithm and take away your business. It's just based on your actual personal relationships. So we could talk about niche all day. I'm going to move on, but if creating a niche is working for you, fine. If it's been a struggle or if you feels inauthentic, then let's just not do it. So let's look through the lens of the client. When you imagine yourself, you're a client and you're trying to evaluate what coach you want to hire, and you talk to a bunch of coaches. These are the kinds of coaches I think that you're going to end up finding out there. I think if we're honest, we're going to admit that we are, at least some of the time, we're one or more of these coaches ourselves. But these are the coaches I think you don't want to be. The clients may hire these coaches, by the way, but they won't renew year after year. They're going to hire them, and then a few months later, they're going to move on. And I know this because my clients tell me when they hire me why they left their previous coach. That's another thing that's happened. It used to be that every client I got had never heard of coaching before. Now clients I get, they're like, yeah, I've had two coaches before, this one and that one. And they would talk about why they didn't, continue with them and what they were hoping for. So these are the three types. So the first is the silent listener. So what does a silent listener mean to you? What is the kind of coach that's a silent listener? And what else would you think about that? And was there anything else? So I'm being a little facetious, but the idea is that the silent listener is just asking questions. And there are many models of coaching that are based on this premise that everything the client needs to know is contained within them. And that is true sometimes, but it's not true all the time. A lot of the time, The reason the client hasn't been successful in their particular endeavor is they literally have never been exposed to a superior way of thinking. And in the minute you expose them to the new idea, the new model, or the new truth, they discard their old inferior way and change to the new one. So um, don't be a silent listener. If you want to be a coach that can provide value year after year, you're going to have to do more than ask questions. Silent listeners need more business leader energy. They need to build up their business acumen, and they need to focus on results, because oftentimes the silent listener is really driving at how do you as the client feel more whole and complete about your situation, but that doesn't always translate to getting different outcomes. And if you really focus on, hey, like what actually causes that outcome? What could I say that would cause the outcome? Then I think you'll have different ideas about what to do to augment your listening. By the way, I think all of us should be good listeners, and there is definitely a time and place for allowing the client to discover for themselves what's true or what's important or what they want, or even what insight or wisdom there is to gain. It's just not all the time. That's like 1 out of 3 times or something. The second type of coach you don't want to be is kind of on the polar opposite side of this continuum, and that's the idea machine. The idea machine always has an idea about what you should do. And every coaching session is just another idea and another idea and another idea. By the way, often these ideas are things that the idea machine has never even tried themselves. They just heard it from a book or a podcast, or, oh, you should do this, or you should do this, or you should do this. So much marketing advice is like this, where it's just idea machine, idea machine. But when you poke into, like, well, have you ever done that? Or tell me about the people that you've told this to that have built successful businesses and how they actually did it. You find out that the ideas are a little bit flimsy. But anyway, most people who are idea machines, they themselves became successful by knowing what to do. They put themselves in positions where knowing what to do was was what was required of them. And now they know what you need to do too. And then the last type of coach you don't want to be is the one-trick pony. One-trick pony learned a modality that was life-changing and now uses it everywhere. I learned whatever emotional freedom technique with tapping, and now tapping is the thing I do with all my clients all the time. And they say, my daughter is struggling with an eating disorder, and you tap about it, and then you say, by the way, I want to earn more revenue in next quarter, and you tap about it, and you just try and use that thing everywhere. And obviously, one-trick ponies need to remove the blinders on the limitations of their one trick. And the path forward for a one-trick pony is seeing the usefulness of contradictory models, not just a diverse set of models, but models that actually view the world in contradictory ways. And when you can see those both as valid, both the model that you're accustomed to and a model that's kind of the opposite, and you can choose between them freely, you start to escape the one-trick pony. By the way, just a full disclosure, I was a one-trick pony when I just started out, and my one trick was that win-win was better than win-lose. I was very influenced by Stephen Covey, and the Gandhi quote: "Until there is as long as there is a loser, the war is not over." And so I would go into my clients and I'd look for opportunities for all the ways they were playing win-lose with other departments, with other executives, with other companies, even with their competition. And I would find ways to frame it as a win-win. And that was my one trick, which was great. It worked for a little while, but I needed to get another trick. Otherwise, my clients weren't going to stay. So yeah, if a coach uses a particular model, often, regardless of how good or complex that model is, the client will become familiar with the model and no longer require the coach. That's the first thing. Second of all, the flaws in the model will eventually block the client's progress until a different model is applied that has different flaws. Every model has flaws. There is no perfect coaching model. There's no perfect model of reality. There's no perfect model for organizational development, for leadership, for achievement, for excellence, for performance. There is no perfect model. There are just a bunch of contradictory models, each of which have some detail and usefulness and some blind spots and flaws. And so you got to kind of move it around and discard that one and try a different and try a different and be very agile with your clients about the different models that you use. Okay, so what can you do about it? Like, let's say you admit that you're kind of one trick pony, or maybe you've been a silent listener, or you recognize, gosh, if you've been a business leader in particular, I am kind of an idea machine with, and I'm trying mentorship, and people aren't implementing all my ideas. So what do you do about it? Well, I think there's three areas to study: personal change, and just there's a list of, I think, what maybe the most important personal change pieces are here. But just I'll highlight one of them: the sufficiency versus transcendent values. So sufficient values of sufficiency, are things like money, where you really value having money until you have enough, and then it's not as important anymore. Or you really value having security until you feel secure, and then you don't it doesn't motivate you as much anymore. And then there's other values which are transcendent, which mean the more you have of it, the more you want, and the more you want for everyone else. Where the more I have, it doesn't take anything away from you, in fact, adds to you. So like love is a transcendent value. The more love I experience, the more love I want to experience, and the more love I experience, the more love that's available for you. So, and the more we all experience the love, the more everyone gets to experience love. And in fact, the planet is a better planet if everyone is experiencing it. So you have to understand not just that these things exist, sufficient versus transcendent values, but what is the implication of those different values on someone who's trying to make a change, for example, that is motivated by a mix of those values? How is that motivation going to impact what is effective in getting them to change or won't get them to change? This is just an example of the kind of thing that I think you need to understand if you're going to be a lifetime trusted advisor. You also need to understand interpersonal effectiveness, so working between people, conflict resolution. You have to understand, so alignment versus agreement. Most people try to create alignment in organizations by talking, but alignment is in the domain of action, where agreement is in the domain of language. So you can't actually create alignment by talking. You can only create alignment by working together side by side over time and correcting. And just understanding that, and what are the things that actually produce alignment in organizations, and what fails to produce, what just creates more and more repetitive agreement conversations while alignment continues to stray. This would be an example of something that you would need to understand to be a lifetime trusted advisor, so that you can master interpersonal effectiveness and help your clients when they are struggling with other people, how to deal with that, which not just for business coaches, but for any person who's coaching a person who has to work or coexist with other people in their communities and their families and their businesses. And then business mastery, if you're going to be an executive coach or coaching, people who themselves care about business outcomes, even, love and relationship coaches end up, veering into business coaching because all these issues are connected in the client: my happiness at work, my happiness in my house, my happiness in my family, my happiness with myself. It's all one person creating that dynamic, and all the issues are connected to each other. So the more you can be flexible about what domain you go into, the longer that client can find you useful as a coach. And so just one of the areas I think super important to master for business mastery is the idea of valuation, or what causes a business to be worth something. Not just what causes a business to have income and get money from customers, but what causes the business itself to be valuable, and what are the implications of the thing, the kinds of things that impact business valuation on your business strategy. This is the thing I think many people misunderstand, and there's some clear models for how to work with valuation that work for startups, they work for large companies, and they work for small businesses as well. And when you understand them, you can make what seem like counterintuitive strategic choices, but over the 2, 3 year time period, especially if they have their clients for a long time, they really see a difference in the asset value of the thing that they own or participate in. Or if they're an employee, they're participating in things that create value for the company, and that is a much faster career accelerator than simply chasing more and more revenue or more and more margin. So anyway, understanding how value works in an organization and how valuation works in an organization, and how do those two play together. Sometimes they conflict, sometimes they're aligned. So these are I think this is the roadmap. You guys are talking about a roadmap to become a lifetime trusted advisor, is to really study these pieces, to become an expert in these pieces. And I'm sure that you are already an expert in some of them. And maybe some of you are an expert in all already, but each one of these, it's not just do you understand it, because I'm sure that we have some level of understanding of everything on this page, but the question is, can you teach something to entrepreneurs and executives who are at the very top of their game? And if you can teach something about each of these topics to the top entrepreneurs and executives, then I think you have your income as a coach is protected forever, because there is an incredible increase in demand for people who have these understandings. So if you do it the way I did it, which is essentially trial by error and learn from my clients, where I would go to a meeting, I would suggest a thing, the client would try it, they would fail, I'd scratch my beard. I'm like, well, why did that fail? And when we try to figure out together why it failed, especially when we were following good advice, like this thing with niches, I came to my conclusion about the niches because I watched so many people create niches and then fail to be successful. I'm like, why is that? If the niche thing is so important, how come it doesn't work for so many people that try it? And working that problem together with my clients is how I came up with so many of the models that I use for my clients today. Some of the understandings. Basically, in a way, I think what we are doing for our clients is we're giving them access to a more clear and more accurate view of reality itself than they have. Not just what culture says reality is, but what reality really is. And when culture and reality are in a conflict, and we can give our clients access to the truth underneath for that thing that they're struggling with, that is tremendously valuable. So if you do it like I did, it could take you 12 years, 18 years, 20 years, definitely more than a decade. But we've developed a proven way to cut that time down to 1 to 3 years. And that's what I want to talk about. But before we get there, let's pick up some low-hanging fruit. I want you all to have some tactics for keeping your clients for the long term. Like, how do you, what's something that you can do just from this webinar that will change your LTV? So once someone thinks of you in a particular way, it's hard for them to stop thinking of you like that, which is why that beginning of the relationship, when you first set it up, is so important in terms of your lifetime value. How you handle this kind of the sale and the first session really, really impacts what your LTV is over the long term. So here are some things that I think you want to promise and not promise when you're selling your coaching. First of all, I don't think you should be focused on the value you're going to give them. I think you need to focus on the value that they hold for the outcome that they want to get. So I don't focus when I'm talking with my coaching clients on, oh, I'm going to give you this and I'm going to give you that, and I'm this, like, I have this value that I'm going to give to you. In fact, I don't think I really have the value. I think they have the value. My clients want to achieve an outcome and they value that outcome. That's where the value is. And then they have created creative confusions about how to get there. They've put in obstacles in the way that don't really need to be there. And the fact that they've done that has created this opportunity for value, because now I can remove them. But if they didn't put those obstacles in the way, there would be no value to talking to me about it. So it's really the client that has created the value, and I'm just a clean sheet of paper to do away with the unnecessary bits. This is also someone earlier asked about imposter syndrome. I think imposter syndrome for coaches is when you're lying in bed the morning of like the first coaching session with a new client who, let's say they're a higher level or they've got a bigger job than you previously have worked with before. And you're thinking, what the heck am I going to say to this person? They already know everything. They're so successful. Like, what am I going to offer them? And that's where that sense of imposter syndrome comes from. But the reason you can't think of what you're going to say to them is because you're alone in your bed and they're the ones that have the value. So the value doesn't live with you, it lives with them. And how do I know? Well, because as soon as you start talking to them and they start describing their situation, you immediately know what to say, how to help them. It could point out exactly where they are seeing it not quite right and where you could help them get there more easily, more effortlessly. So as soon as they provide the value to you, you can reflect it back to them. And so if you ever feel imposter syndrome, it's because you're not in the presence of the client and the client is the one that has the value. So promise their value, not yours. Promise presence and not procedures. Don't promise that you're going to do a process that will get a result. Just promise that you're going to show up and be with them while they work the process. Because if you promise a process, that process will end. And when that process ends, they're going to think the coaching relationship should end. Where if you just promise presence, presence doesn't end. And so when they're done with that process, they'll just have a new process. So don't promise to give them procedures and processes. Just promise that you'll be there for them and with them while you together work out what to do next. Promise your time, not outcomes. I wouldn't promise like X revenue growth or you'll have this experience. Just say, look, when I'm promising, I say I'm $5,000 a month, and you get a couple of meetings with me for 90 minutes. And you can reach out to me anytime you want on text or WhatsApp or whatever. And I'll reply when I can, but you'll definitely get me for those 2 meetings. And so that's my promise, not, oh, well, you're going to have this outcome and this outcome. Because as soon as they think they're either going to get that outcome without you, or they don't believe they can get that outcome with or without you, as soon as either of those 2 things happens, which will happen quickly, you are no longer needed in their mind. And so your expense will be eliminated and the coaching relationship will end. Don't promise hours, promise months. I promise, hey, we're going to have a couple of sessions a month. I also say some months we might meet more, some months we might meet less, depends on what you need and whether we're available. Like in December, everybody's always on vacation, so there'll probably be 1 meeting, but it doesn't matter because the fee is monthly. If you charge by the hour, then in the back of the mind, the client's trying to negotiate with themselves. Well, was that hour worth it? Or should I choose this hour instead? You don't want their mind there. You want them focused on their outcome and just being accustomed to pay month after month. And be generous. If they need a little extra help, give them a little extra help. Don't try and charge for every hour. Don't do packages. Packages, I think, are the worst idea to come to coaching in the last decade. I know there's a lot of teachers who are suggesting that you should do packages. I just strongly disagree. So I say, look, I'll never, when I'm on the phone with my client, I'm selling them. I say, I'll never ask you to make any commitment longer than a month because we don't know, the future is uncertain. However, I should tell you that my clients tend to stay with me for a long time, 5 years or more. But if ever you come to a month and you don't think it's worth it, we should conclude. We should be over. If you let's say you sell a 6-month package, the only reason that would be good business is if naturally your clients would only stay for like 3 months, but you're selling them a 6-month package. Well, but think about that. That means that for the last 3 months of the package, your client's going to be resentful of paying for something they don't want. That's bad business. It's so much more powerful to have every client feel amazing than to make sure all your clients feel resentful. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It'd be far better for you to learn how to naturally be the kind of coach that they obviously would want for 6 months because the value keeps coming. Just invest in learning how to give them 6 months of value. Don't make them do the work for you. Because that way, no matter how long your clients stay, they're always going to be appreciative of the time you spent. Um, and you're just a missing piece. You're not the whole puzzle. So you don't need to know, like, I'm not as good a CEO as any of my clients. They're all far better leaders and CEOs than I could be. Well, maybe not all of them, but most of them are really much, much better than I could be. But I'm adding a piece that they don't have. I'm adding an understanding they don't have. And it's different pieces for different clients. Sometimes it's the interpersonal stuff. Sometimes it's understanding how people change. Sometimes it's the business mastery stuff. So it really depends. Sometimes it's a mixture, but every client you're adding the missing piece. And the more your clients have a complete puzzle with one missing piece and you're adding the missing piece, the more value they're going to get. It just has to be a movable missing piece. This missing piece this month, this other missing piece next month. Okay, so how does it sound when I'm talking to a new client? I tell them I keep my clients for more than 5 years. My clients tend to stay for me for a long time. I never ask for more than a month's worth of coaching in advance. I tell them, here are the reasons why clients stop working with me. The first session, they stop working with me because they sell their business, because they IPO, because they go on sabbatical, or because the business goes out of business. Those are the reasons. And that gives them a reason in their mind to stop, which now, if we don't have one of those reasons, they're likely to stay. I make sure that there's an extra cost to begin. So I'm $5,000 a month, but I charge them $15,000 up front. So the first invoice is $20,000, 15 to start plus 5,000. And then I use that 15,000 to have phone calls with a bunch of people in their world and get to know people that relate to them so I can get more than just my client's perspective on the situation. Monthly retainer, not hourly billing. And then if they say, well, can you guarantee that I'll get X outcome? I'll say, of course, I don't know if you'll achieve that. That only you can control whether you'll achieve that, but I'll do my best to help you. So that's what I promise to them. What do I ask from them? Well, the first is that they have to promise to be coachable. Just kidding. No way. Don't ask your clients to be coachable. I don't think your clients have to be coachable. I think your clients just have to want what they want. It's up to us as coaches to learn how to speak to our client in a way where the action that we would like them to take, the perspective that we think would help them, we need to learn how to frame that perspective in a way that's appetizing to them. That's our job. So if you're asking your clients to be coachable or requiring them to be coachable, again, that's like asking your client to do some of the work that you're supposed to be doing. And I think some of the frameworks that we teach in the Lifetime Trusted Advisor program help you modify exactly the message for the specific client that you've got so that they eat it up instead of resist you. That's cute. Coachability versus coach ability. Yeah, exactly. It's the coach's ability that matters. I do ask my clients to journal before every session. And I ask them to ask a couple of questions, what's an important decision you haven't yet made? What's something that surprised you involving other people? I say, if you're getting surprised, it means that there's an error in your perception and we want to fix that. Or what's something that has happened that you'd like to experience differently than you experienced it? And I always ask my clients to journal these 3 questions, and then the answer to these questions become the content of the coaching sessions. And so feel free to use those. But of course, the most important thing you could change is to transform how diverse, effective, and transformative you can be in each session. Okay, so we talked about the best strategy for coaches in this extraordinary moment in time for coaching. We talked about some of the frameworks and tactics I use to keep my clients renewing year after year. Do you guys see a plan for yourself of how you could increase your LTV? But maybe have a question about how to execute that plan. Like, if I'm going to learn those things, how do I learn those things? And are you ready to talk about how we can cut the entire process down from years to months? So Jennifer and I, we spent the last 2 decades analyzing over 30,000 of my coaching sessions, experimenting and refining the most effective models for change, interpersonal effectiveness, and business mastery on a massive scale. And we've selected the 16 mental models that make the biggest difference for coaches at the highest level. This is not just the mental model, but exactly how to say it so that the entrepreneurs and executives at the top level will find them to be transformative, innovative, and fresh. They combine to create over 1,000 unique coaching sessions, right? So there's a combinatory effect, which means you could do 40 years of coaching without ever repeating a session. And many of these models can't be learned anywhere else because we literally develop them in response to what the clients were needing. We've combined that knowledge with an incredibly potent method of high intensity experiential learning. That's that transformational environment that Jennifer and I were talking about. And we've included all of that in the Lifetime Trusted Advisor program. And we've trained over the years some of the most influential people in the coaching industry. And when they heard that I was going to be sharing my secrets openly in a webinar like this, they actually recorded some videos and sent them to me, and they asked me to share them with you. So I'd like to share now the video of what these luminaries have to say.
Hi, it's Eben Pagan. I've been teaching and coaching online now for 20 years. I've created lots of successful courses and programs and memberships.
My name is Eric Nooner. I'm the executive chairman of Health Coach Institute, also co-founder and former CEO.
Hi, I'm Rian Doris. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the Flow Research Collective.
Hi, I'm Kate Mikus, 3-time international best-selling author. I've trained over 3 million entrepreneurs.
Hey everybody, Jonathan here from AJ and Smart. We teach coaches and we teach facilitators.
I'm Ryan Biegelman, and I helped found the company Summit Series that I started in 2008 and grew to an organization that had over 20 million in revenue.
I'm Stacy Morgenstern, co-founder of Health Coach Institute. I've trained over 30,000 coaches.
Hey, I'm Paul Gassé. I am a go-to-market and sales coach for Silicon Valley startups.
Hi, I'm Nathan Otto. I'm the CEO and founder of Pine Creek Renewables. We just closed a $30 million round of financing at a 10x multiple. And I have to say, what I've learned from Bryan has been instrumental in letting me get there and then also create the conditions that automatically created that success.
My name is Kevin Romani, and I coach founders and executives in helping them build out the revenue arm of the business and at the same time become the best leaders and the best business people that they can be.
I met Bryan literally 20 years ago, and he revolutionized the way I thought about leadership and the way I thought about advising and creating value, both in my own companies and for people that I have been advising over the years.
One of the things that I want to take from this is just how he keeps people retained for so long.
It's not unusual for Bryan to keep a client for 5 to 10 years or more.
The insights that Bryan brought to me were pivotal to seeing what was possible.
And I can tell and feel that I will work with Bryan for as long as he will have me as a client. And that's likely going to be many, many years.
I've come to learn through Bryan that LTV is my #1 metric, and we've already put in place things that have improved it considerably.
Every single conversation that I've ever had with this man, he pretty much introduces me to a new version of reality that I hadn't thought of myself.
And by the end of the call, I'm just calling up one of my business partners and I'm just like, holy shit, I just had the best call ever with Bryan.
Someone who is as gifted and experienced and skillful at the art of coaching and the art of detailed business mentorship and guidance as Bryan. There's no way I would have been able to do it without him.
Over the years, I've partnered with people like Sir Richard Branson and Tony Robbins and
Bezos to Branson to Shonda Rhimes and Jessica Alba.
The Sharks, including Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, and many very famous brands.
Facebook, Deloitte, Accenture, Audi.
And they've always commented on my ability to understand how to add massive value to any project. But I attribute that really to the work and the models and the thinking frameworks that I learned from Bryan over the years that I studied with him.
He's also like a world expert on different coaching models.
Oh man, when I started working with Bryan, it just opened a whole world of models and understandings and ways of listening that not only expanded my coaching business then, but that I use every day with my employees, with my investors, with my board members, and with my business partner.
And what I've learned from Bryan is you've got to pull from a deep bag of tricks.
And we're talking about understanding another dimension of being able to help people, of being able to effect change in people. And Bryan is going to be the best person to be able to help you see that.
And the results couldn't have been better. We've 2x'd my annual revenue number.
Most of my clients pretty much stick around forever.
And I've now been coaching for a year and a half. To my amazement, I still have all of my clients.
Never losing a client, or at least being able to work with a client continually for 3 to 5 years. Growing organically through referrals and not even having to worry about marketing or even having a website.
I had my first conversation with Bryan Franklin and I started my business. I made, in 3 or 4 months, $300,000. And I did that with one conversation with Bryan.
My life has become easier. I think I was grinding a lot more. Now, not only has my income become quite a bit better over the time we've been working together, but I'm more aligned and things come with more ease.
It's just obvious to me that it's so valuable.
I would just try and master my craft. And I think the fastest and effective possible path I could imagine to doing that is working directly with Bryan, because Bryan has done that at a level that I've never observed before.
And Bryan somehow magically walks me through a process where I see a different point of view, a different possibility, and through that process, I become a different person. That's amazing in itself. But what he's also been able to do is give me the ability to do that for other people. And that's extraordinary. I don't know where else in the world anyone could get that.
Because of the things that I learned from Bryan, not only allowed me to sell over $100 million in advisory services in cash, but also take on huge equity stakes in different companies and just get involved in really cool, really fun, and really earth-changing projects. So if you're looking to work with Bryan or anything in his programs, I just say jump in right now because you're going to love it. The return on that investment is so big, you will be so happy that you had the opportunity to work with such a genius.
Working with Bryan Franklin has been an absolutely critical driver in getting us to get to 8 figures, and I can already see that it is going to be arguably the single most important thing, at least with respect to my own development and support in getting us to 9 figures and even beyond.
I'd highly recommend working with Bryan. He's been instrumental in my coaching success. I recommend anybody that has a chance to do so to actually pull the trigger on that.
If you're considering doing the Lifetime Trusted Advisor program, I'd say definitely make sure you have your house in order because you're going to undergo a lot of changes. You should be able to have a difficult conversation. If you're not at that level, don't take it. If you are at that level, it's like strapping a booster rocket into the right direction that you're already going. Just do it.
That's it. That's it.
Get off the fence. Don't be an idiot. Dude, what are we talking about here? What is it, time? I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's like, I guess I can't download for you the experience I've had, but if I could, it would be a no-brainer.
Anyone considering Lifetime Trusted Advisor, there's nothing like this out there. I think it's a no-brainer, and start putting together the budget to make it happen. It's a no-brainer.
Take the risk. It's not expensive because you're going to be Godsmacked with the change in perspective that you're going to get. And that's all thanks to Bryan Franklin.
He's got the kind of lifestyle that most coaches would really, only dream of having. And if you're interested in learning how to be a great coach, how to get clients, and particularly how to keep your clients long-term, then I want to recommend him and definitely recommend his new LTV program that he's teaching, because inside he's going to be showing you different coaching models specifically so that you can work with a client and keep them for the long term. So if you're interested in getting clients and then having them be clients for 5 to 10 years like Bryan does, then I recommend that you go and you learn from him. You will be blown away and it'll change your coaching practice. It'll change your life.
Okay, I'm back. Welcome back. Thank you for watching that. Some really, really beautiful people and dear friends and clients on that video. And when I was watching that video, um, I was just getting in touch with really what I want for you. I really want this for you. I want you to live a life where you feel like who you are and what you understand and the lessons and the understanding of the world that you live in is the thing that your clients want most from you. You show up to these calls, you care about your clients, you do the best to help them. You don't try to do techniques, you don't try and do anything that's inauthentic to you. You don't do any part of the business you don't like. You don't do marketing if you don't like it. You don't do, traditional sales processes if you don't like it. You just try and help people. And you look around and you've got abundant free time, abundant financial resources. I know it's possible. I've helped a bunch of people do it, and I want this for you. That's really what's behind this program. We're looking for like a select number of coaches who are really dedicated to being the top 4%, and who have what it takes to get there. And the next step is for you to apply. Use this link to apply. I'm going to put it in the chat so you can type it, so you can copy it. And just a second. There. The link is in the chat. Click it. We're going to open phone calls. We're going to open free strategy sessions for you for 24 hours. And so jump on that link now and schedule them, because we're opening it for a limited time for you. We're going to take for a phone call. We're going to do an LTV strategy session with you, where we will figure out exactly what the low-hanging fruit is for you to increase LTV for your clients now. And we'll talk about whether or not you're one of these coaches that has what it takes to really become a lifetime trusted advisor, and whether the program is a fit for you. So how does it work? It's 6 multi-day events. So we've got 6 events starting next year. At the end of March is the first one. And so it's online. They're online events. They're 2 days each. And we are going to pack it with incredible value, processes, practice sessions. We're really going to get to know you, do a lot of one-on-one interaction. Plus, you'll have weekly guided practice groups where you're practicing all of the techniques that we are teaching in the class, and putting your feedback back into the community of how those practice sessions went and where you need additional help. There's the LTV community, the Lifetime Trusted Advisor community, which includes some bonuses. There's the toolkit, and there's a mastermind network with elite coaches. And there's also an optional upgrade, which is super affordable, where basically it's actually a little bit under cost. So just for cost, you can buy VIP tickets to attend 3 of the events in person. And we've got this beautiful retreat center in Mill Valley. It's like a 50-bed retreat center. We'll all be there together, and we'll be creating transformation together, breaking bread together, and really standing for each other's greatness. So get your LTV strategy session. You apply and you'll get a 45-minute one-on-one call. Again, we'll walk through exactly what the low-hanging fruit is for you to increase your LTV next. What are some things you can do? Also, does it make sense for you to be doing this program? And what are the steps of how do you participate? Then you could complete your application. Really, sign up now. The good slots are already filling up. You want to make sure and click that link and get your strategy session on the calendar right away. And we'll let you know what we think is really possible given your exact situation. Helen asked a question earlier. I'm going to answer it live. Question regarding not doing packages. Do you recommend this approach for a somewhat newer coach? She says, I'm a mindset and life design coach. She says she doesn't call herself an executive coach on purpose, which I really understand. For years, I wouldn't call myself a coach at all. I just didn't like that word. And anyway, I've surrendered to it. I am an executive coach. I feel like I can be in a support group. Hi, I'm Bryan. I'm an executive coach. But for years I was resistant to it. So I understand why you would, want to call yourself a particular thing. Anyway, Helen writes, our target clients are VP level clients, not necessarily CEOs and founders. Do I think that not doing packages works for that type of coaching and clients? 1,000%, 100%. I still think the same rule applies. Don't do packages. Set them up instead for an expectation that they're going to work with you for the duration of their entire career. But that they have the option of stopping at any time, and then try to build in them the capabilities where they look around every 6 months or a year and go, oh my goodness, I cannot believe how far I've come because of the support of Helen. I would not be able to do it without Helen. And that's just what's going to produce additional LTV in excess of your current package. So let's see. What's next? I want to talk about some bonuses that are absolutely huge when you register for the program. So first of all, there's a business of coaching, which covers everything you need to know about how to run a successful coaching practice using the LTV strategy. So operations, marketing, sales, fulfillment, what are all the ways that you handle these functions of the business, given that the strategy is LTV? Marketing works techniques that actually work when you're just starting out and you need to move up market, but that don't require you to do a bunch of things that as coaches we're not really designed to do, like copywriting or building websites. And there's done for you templates for all your client communications before, during, and after the engagement. Detailed training on the sales process that's most effective for selling services like coaching or consulting, with the exact scripts that have been split tested over 100,000 or more sales conversations with coaches and that we've helped with other coaches. Plus all the techniques that I use in operations and fulfillment to optimize for lifetime value and keep clients renewing with minimal friction and minimal effort. So that's a bonus that's included. Also, the Coaching Fundamentals course, which is a second bonus, which covers all the basic coaching techniques that you would expect to learn in a level 1 and level 2 coaching certification. And this is actually a course that we previously charged more than $16,000 for to train people, a decade ago. And we've taken the best of this content, credibility, intention and attention, rapport, maps of reality, this discovery and how to do a coaching session agenda, conceptual levels of coaching, congruence, the repression and expression model, all of that, we've taken that into this Coaching Fundamentals course, which is a free gift if you sign up for the Lifetime Trusted Advisor program. It's all included. So the next step really is to apply and to get your free strategy session and to see, like, are you one of these people that has what it takes to get to that 4%? And what's that path look like? How quickly can we help you get there? And then where do you have blanks in those models, whether it's in personal change or interpersonal excellence or business mastery? Where are there blank spots that we can focus on and give you exactly the scripts, the models of what to say and how to say it to get the clients to have breakthroughs in those areas, but also to really change your understanding of how the fundamentals of business work. Drop down your understanding a level from all the techniques that work to what are the forces underneath those techniques that make them work, which, by the way, when you learn that, it means that you can start to develop your own coaching models, your own techniques, because you understand the fundamentals of how it works underneath. Let's see. Oh, there's a wonderful comment. This was more and better than I expected. I'm glad that was true for you. I hope that everybody here learned something that you could benefit from right away and really implement today. Our meta goal is just to improve, to lift up the the level and quality of executive coaching globally, to have everybody that's doing this work of trying to help people to be better at it. And that's really motivating for us. And you've been really wonderful. I have loved having you here. I appreciate all the comments and the questions. And that does it for me. So go ahead and apply now, and I'll see you on these calls. Take care. I realize as I said goodbye, I do want to, I just want to list all the stuff. So there's the 6 virtual weekends. There's the 6 months of weekly guided practice groups. There's the Ask Me Anything online community, peer-reviewed coaching sessions, the dual cockpit coaching session analysis with myself and Jennifer, where you'll show us recordings of your social coaching sessions, and we'll tell you where we would have gone left when you went right, or what we would have said or done in that instance with that client. The Business of Coaching course, the Fundamentals of Coaching course, of course, the free lifetime strategy call, which you're signing up for right now, the free copy of The Last Safe Investment. Oh, we're going to give you that book when you show up to your call, and the free the LTV toolkit. Now, there's a free gift. I promised you a free gift at the beginning. The way to get your free gift is to go to the online community, which you have a link for in your email. And also, when I sent you the personalized video, there's a link there. I can give you the link now here to the community. Please join us in the community, and that's how you get your free gift. You go to the community and you click Classroom, and in the Classroom you can see the LTV coaches toolkit, and that gives you frameworks for a number of things, including the networking letter, which is how you get new clients. That's the link to the community. So the SF Live option dates are on that page. You go to the Apply Now page and just scroll down. All the dates are there. But I encourage you to hop on the phone, because for people who can't make certain dates, we're actually doing a special makeup session. So if you can't make up one date, we'll do a makeup session. Don't let dates be the reason you miss this opportunity. Just making sure I've covered all the questions that I can cover. Yeah, so that's it. Again, thank you so much for being here. And let's see. Yeah, I thought someone put in, so I'm getting a note that's someone would like me to repeat the 3 questions that I ask in sessions before my clients, before the sessions. So I'll just repeat them here. So these are the 3 questions that I ask my clients to journal before every session. I think someone asked for me to repeat them. What's the most important decision you haven't yet made? What's something that surprised you involving other people? And what's something that happened that you'd like to experience differently than you experienced it? So those are the 3 questions that I tend to ask. I'm really, really, really excited to be here, and thankful for your time, and thankful for your attention on trying to make yourself a better coach so that you can provide more value to your clients, and of course keep them for a lifetime, but in some ways, more importantly, be a more significant role in their success story, in their lives. So thank you very much, and I will see you. I'll see you on the strategy call. Take care.